and welcome to the Total Soccer Show. My name is Daryl Grove, and I'm joined by a man who's throwing elbows all over the studio. It's Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
I didn't mean to. I totally didn't mean to until you catch me on replay, and I obviously meant to.
If anyone saw Arnautovic this weekend, you know exactly what we're talking about.
Well, we're going to talk about it in a second. But before we do, we should probably introduce what we're talking about.
Yeah, so I think we're set on this, right?
Yep.
It went so well last week when we did our thumbs up, thumbs down, Romelu Lukaku-inspired review of the Premier League weekend action. We're going to kind of make it a regular thing for the Premier League and the whole world.
And the whole world.
The whole world. Or basically everything, all the soccer we consumed this weekend, we're going to review it through the medium of thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah, I've got a couple points about the Fiji second division I cannot wait to get to.
It's fire.
Yeah.
It's fire. Hot volcanic fire.
Okay, I was going to say, are we using like emoji talk now? Because that's unacceptable.
But I'm really excited about this because, you know, in the past we've just sort of chosen one or two games and gone really deep and done really sort of nerdy analysis. But this is kind of more fun. It's a way of sort of taking all of the weekend and all the things we enjoyed and kind of celebrating them all in one podcast.
Yeah, and it's we've struggled to deal with it because we'd like to do that deep dive analysis, but then it's impossible to do when it's just the two of us in all these games because also we have lives.
Yeah, because ideally we do it for every single game, right? But that's just like 100 hours of work for one podcast, which
not going to work. Yeah, not going to work. So instead, just 90 hours.
Yeah. So should we start with our Premier League thumbs up, thumbs down?
Sure. And since you started with elbows, let's keep it going because I've got, and we are going to this week, I believe, give the scores away, right? So if you're waiting, if you DVR'd something,
not so much give them away, as just remember to say them.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying if you perchance haven't watched something,
so spoiler alerts.
Yeah. So, up first, we've got Southampton-West Ham. Southampton getting the victory 3-2, scoring some goals at home for the first time in a while. But I'm saying thumbs down to West Ham for failing to understand subtlety.
What's that then?
Okay, so we've got the Marko Arnautovic forearm or elbow chop to the throat, which I watched live actually, and I was so blown away because I missed the initial incident. And basically, what happens is you hear the foul, ref walks over, gives a red card, and Arnautovic reacts like I did nothing. Like he looks so bewildered that I really thought this must be totally wrong. Like maybe he bumped into a guy as he ran past. Then you get the replay.
He's just doing some acting, right? He's just trying to play dumb.
I mean, he succeeded, or at least made me look dumb. Because you watch the replay and he just straight up throws an elbow into the opposition throat, which is not what you want to be doing.
Who did he?
I forget. It was I think the left center back for Southampton, whoever that might be. But it was just so obvious from him, and it came about because I think he'd gotten a whack to the face earlier. Maybe it was a little bit of seeing red, so that wasn't good. But then you've got Mark Noble on Mario Lemina. He tweeted afterwards a photo of his shin where he was just openly bleeding. He had a big gash. Then you've got Jose Font with the penalty concession, the first penalty concession, where he just yanks the guy down by the throat.
Very grabby.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. And then same thing for Pablo Zabaleta conceding the second penalty where he just barges into the back of the player. It was just a very unsubtle performance from West Ham.
So a bad start to the season last week for West Ham. I'd say weirdly an even worse second week because they turned this game around, right? Chicharito got two really poachery goals to make it 2-2. He was really happy. Good work from Chicharito.
And while you're on that note, I'll just add real quick, I also had thumbs up to Chicharito for being Chicharito because those goals are harder than you think.
Yes.
Because he really has to make those runs, be smart with his placement, not drift offside. The second goal, it's a really nice finish. So it's Chicharito being Chicharito in the best possible way. So yes, then they bring it back. It looks like maybe it's all to play for, and then things get dumb again.
Get dumb again.
Yeah. Well, that's where you're going, right? It's like it makes it even more foolish. Because,
more heartbreaking for West Ham fans, if nothing else, because you've seen your team come back. You're like, we lost 4-0 last week, but we're getting it together now. Nope.
Yep.
It's a defeat.
Yeah, so I'm guessing some players to come in for them.
But there was one positive story that you didn't tell me the whole thing, you kind of hinted at it before we started recording.
Right.
One positive story at this game.
Yeah, I'll do my best to find it. We've already spent 5 minutes looking for it and I couldn't find it again. But it was basically a dad posting the story about taking his son to his first Southampton game. I believe it was the son's first Southampton game. The dad is a 3-year season ticket holder. Basically, they meet all the players because I guess if you get there early enough, you can be there when the players first walk into the stadium and some will stop. In this case, all the players stopped and posed for photos.
Yep.
Then they went and had lunch. They got a jersey. The kid bought it with his own money that had been saving up. Then they get to see 3 goals. It's an exciting game. Then when they're walking home, I forget who it was whose jersey he bought, but that player happened to drive by and say hey dude, nice jersey. And they stopped and chatted.
Sofiane Boufal.
Yes, I think that's correct, yeah. So he stops, they have a chat. So it's a nice reminder that it's not all misery and sadness and elbows and blood in soccer. There can be nice stories too.
All right, speaking of nice stories, my thumbs up goes to Antonio Conte for getting his tactics right in Chelsea's 2-1 win over Spurs. And I feel like a lot of the story is going to be about Spurs can't win at Wembley, etc., etc., etc. But Antonio Conte, I believe, tactical masterstroke.
Okay.
So he kind of, I think you exchanged some tweets with someone.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just wondering if you're going to make a suit joke. That's what I'm waiting for.
No.
You to do.
Tactical masterstroke is,
right.
Going back to a suit was a good idea.
Yeah.
It seems, results-wise. But he went from the classic sort of what became the classic Conte 3-4-3 to a 3-5-1-1 and sort of sacrificed a striker or an attacking player to get David Luiz into central midfield. So you end up with a midfield of N'Golo Kante, David Luiz, and Bakayoko, right?
Yep.
So you've got at least two big guys in central midfield. And the reason I think he did it, and the reason I think this is brilliant, is because it counters what Spurs love to do, which is they press you, they make you play it long, and then their big guys, Dembele and Wanyama, always win it and always send it back. So I honestly think what Conte has done is looked at that and said, okay, I'm going to figure a thing out. I'm going to get my big guy with his big frizzy hair, David Luiz, in central midfield. So I think it worked because guess who gets fouled for the Alonso free kick?
Who's that?
It's David Luiz.
There it is.
It's tripped by Dele Alli. Guess who wins the ball back off a midfielder to begin the move that Alonso scores the second goal?
Could it be David Luiz?
It is David Luiz. So I think Antonio Conte 100% got this right by getting David Luiz into central midfield to combat Spurs' big central midfielders.
Well, I think the other thing to mention there is that obviously Gary Cahill not playing, he is suspended. So I think it was probably also an element of looking at Spurs recognizing that they're capable of scoring more than a few goals and looking at your defense and thinking, I'm not just going to do the same thing but insert a player who isn't Gary Cahill. I'm going to put in more defensive players and kind of solidify that defense.
So technically, Christensen replaced Gary Cahill in the back three, and then David Luiz stepped out. So then it's Rudiger, Christensen, and Azpilicueta with the back three defenders.
There it is.
So, but numbers and size in midfield, and it 100% paid off. Well done, Antonio Conte, even with Batshuayi continuing his terrible start to the Premier League season.
Yeah, and I think really well done to Willian, and I'd say Alvaro Morata. I know he's going to get a lot of stick. He missed a wide-open header in the first couple minutes.
But he also got wide open. He got between Spurs defenders to make sure he was open.
And that's the key thing there, right? Is that, I mean, you like to summarize, 3 center-backs, 3 defensive midfielders, 2 wing-backs. Doesn't leave much in the way of attack.
And he's a big guy as well. He still found space in between those people.
And he did well to link up with Willian when it was on. Willian did well to continue running, because obviously that's a frustrating job to be basically the only link-up attacker. I know Bakayoko and Conte very capable of running. We learned that because I'd say thumbs up to N'Golo Kante for not being able to be brought down by humans. Harry Kane tried to do a professional foul and instead threw himself to the ground. I don't know how that worked.
It's really weird watching that, right? It's N'Golo Kante running with the ball. Kane grabs him. It looks like by the shoulders, and you think for all the world he's going to get pulled down, and instead Harry Kane goes flying. He goes spinning. N'Golo Kante is magic.
Yes, that is correct.
Or he's like Ant-Man, maybe. He's just a lot stronger than he looks. And
it can be both.
Small,
It can be both.
His power is concentrated.
Sure. Do you have more to say about this game? I've got a couple more things.
I want to say maybe a thumbs down to Dele Alli for that original foul on David Luiz, in that it was kind of unnecessary. And I was thinking after last week, when Dele Alli kind of got John Joe Shelby sent off, that he would have the upper hand in terms of maturity and mental mistakes. This time, not so good from Dele Alli, despite his at least 2 nutmegs that I saw through this game.
It's what he goes for. I'll say, since you've gone down, I'll go up, and I will say thumbs up to Marcos Alonso. I mean, obviously that free kick that we already alluded to, very well hit, perfectly placed. That's a great goal.
Did you notice they had Willian standing over it as well? So right-footed Willian, left-footed Alonso, and I think that maybe put the Spurs defence or put Hugo Lloris off a little bit and just had them guessing. Because Willian doesn't like make a run-up or step over it or anything, but he just has the body shape of, I might hit this. I might hit this right-footed. Get ready.
I mean, it really is tough to know who exactly is going to hit it. And even in the run-up, you know it might be a feint, it might not be a feint, so you can't really bank on that. You've just got to react. And if you've got a little bit of confusion in there, it's going to slow that reaction time. But the other reason why I think Marcos Alonso deserves some credit is because, as we mentioned, you really only have like 2 dedicated attackers, so you've got to find attack where you can. And for Marcos Alonso to score the free kick's a free kick, but that second goal, it's him bombing in there, getting aggressively forward, making things happen.
Angle, right?
It's compensating for a lack of attacking options, and I think he definitely deserves some praise for that brace.
I'm going to say not necessarily thumbs down, but sort of legs open and a big gap between your arms and your body for Hugo Lloris.
Not great.
He let himself down there, I think.
Also, I want to say thumbs down to Mauricio Pochettino's adorable face. Because he just has this, like, that kind of adorable chubbiness. That he looks like he's like 6 years old.
So
when they lose,
thumbs down.
Because when they lose and he's kind of sad, it's all the more sad because now it's like an adorable chubby guy. Like, we could have played better. And just like, it makes me a little bit sad. I felt for him, and I didn't want to feel for him. He's a rival, but I did feel sad for him.
All right, what else you got?
Going back, I'll stick with today then, and I will say thumbs up to Huddersfield.
Yes.
An American treasure David Wagner, 45-year-old from Geinsheim am Rhein. I forget what American state that's in. In his playing career, he played for numerous North American teams like the U.S., and that's about it. But yes, I still count this. I've had debates with several different people at this point.
Yeah.
He played for the U.S., he's an American, it counts.
He didn't play that many times, though, did he?
He played 8. That's enough. Yeah.
All right.
And got a protest filed against him by Canada. So in your face, Canada, he's American.
But 2 wins in a row. Huddersfield beat Newcastle 1-0. David Wagner doing it up in the Premier League.
Absolutely.
I've got a thumbs up to Aaron Moy, who scored that goal to make it 1-0 against Newcastle for the trickery. Have you seen this goal?
Yep.
So he's top of the box. He fakes like he's going to shoot.
Yep.
Defenders buy it. He cuts. Then he plays a 1-2 with, I think it's Kanchunga. And then when he receives it back, then he shoots and scores. Aaron Moy, 2 assists last week, a goal this week, and a bit of trickery. Looking good, Aaron Moy.
And I'm going to say thumbs up to deceiving statistics or thumbs down, depending on your perspective. Because, Daryl Grove, did you know that Huddersfield set a record? They're the only team to win all of their Premier League games.
I go on Reddit Soccer as well. One final thumbs up. The man that Aaron Moy kind of made look a little bit silly was Manquillo, the Newcastle right back. You know why that's a big deal?
Because then he can leave and DeAndre Yedlin can come back and remind everybody why he's good.
He can at least be dropped, When DeAndre Yedlin comes back, it's more chance that Manquillo gets dropped. But that's through very sort of red, white and blue glasses. I'm viewing that, that goal.
I had no way of knowing that.
But thumbs up to Huddersfield Town. I have a big thumbs down. Big fat digit down to NBC for bailing out on Match of the Day.
All right, let's talk about this.
Okay, the history goes back. There's a BBC programme. It's a very old programme called Match of the Day, which is Saturday night's highlight package. You get, short highlights of all the games as live, and you get analysis after every game.
Yes, and I didn't know that this was a thing, really, because I haven't watched much British television, shock of all shocks, and I certainly haven't watched much British television, like, reviewing soccer highlights. So when NBC Sports first got this contract, I remember we watched with, like, the old TSS crew, and you were like, it's going to be great, trust me.
Josh Payton, Laura, it was great.
And I was like, what? And it was amazing. It was legitimately amazing, because before that, we forget.
Because this is when NBC did their own version of it, right? Saturday night highlights, analysis, the whole thing.
They first got it, and it was, like, amazing, because before that, there really wasn't. You could go and, like, scour the internet, find some highlights. You couldn't really watch much extended. You really couldn't get much good analysis unless you watched the game live. So to get this beautiful highlights package that shows you the entire game and really the narrative of the game, but then you get experts afterwards telling you what happened and, like, showing you this passing sequence and how this player's movement opened up space for this player. It does a lot to sort of help you better understand the teams and what they're trying to do. So that's the backstory.
Okay, and now we're 2 weeks into this Premier League season. Last week, I couldn't find Match of the Day. I was looking Saturday night on NBC, could not find it. I thought, okay, maybe there's something weird going on where they won't put all their effort into the daytime coverage. They're not doing it. This weekend, couldn't find it again until 5 a.m. Sunday morning. There was a program called NBC Match of the Day. Yeah, we DVR'd it here in studio. I DVR'd it at home. I started to watch it, and I quickly realised it's kind of an empty Match of the Day.
Yeah,
there was no studio analysis. It was just basically the goals and maybe a little bit of highlights as well. And no analysis, no package.
No, and it reminds me, we've talked about this before, of so many podcasts that you and I have listened to where it's like, ooh, exciting new podcast. And then a month in, they're like, yeah, we're going from twice a week to once a week. And then it's like, we'll put it out whenever we want. And suddenly it's been 3 months. And then maybe they put it out. That's the equivalent of like, oh yeah, every night, 9 p.m., we're going to analyze the games. Okay, we're going to analyze the games. It's going to be at 11 p.m. Okay, now no more analysis, and we're putting it out at 5 a.m. It's also, just sort of like, things are changing.
Also, we're airing half the games, but it's $50 if you want to see the rest.
Also that.
So it is part of NBC just like stepping back a little bit from their Premier League coverage. It's still good. The actual match coverage, I enjoyed Tottenham-Chelsea this morning. Genuinely, it's a really exciting game to watch. It was good analysis from Lee Dixon doing the colour commentary. Yeah. But you can see NBC just stepping back a little bit, and I'm not particularly thrilled about it. Okay, end of rant.
Well, actually, I'm going to continue the rant. You can end your rant.
Continuation of rant.
Because I just want to say, like, it's highlights are great, and it's nice to be able to watch like 6 to 7 minutes of highlights. As I said, it gives you more than just like goal, that's it. It lets you know kind of what's going on. But it doesn't let you know sort of patterns of play, what individual players are doing, like what teams are trying to do to break down bunkered teams or counterattacking teams or pressing teams. And that's what the BBC version does really, really well. They show you
weirdly
all
not
of these
always,
things.
But it was on point last week.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Less so this week, but but what can you expect from Danny Mills? But it helps you to kind of better understand if you don't have time, as we talked about earlier, to watch all these games. You still learn things about what this midfielder is doing versus what this defender is doing, and I'm sad that we don't have that option here in the States.
Well, should we? We'll do our own version here, our quick-fire analysis version with our thumbs up, thumbs down. What else you got for me, Taylor?
All right, well then I'm going to go to the game that I know you'll be surprised to hear me want to talk about, because I love them so much. Just kidding. It's West Brom Burnley. That's right. You never saw that one coming.
This was 1-0 to West Brom?
Yeah. I'm going to say thumbs up and down to how Robson-Kanu subs in, does really well to score the go-ahead goal, to score the winning goal, fights off players, shoves player down, scores that goal. Well done. Then gets a red card for basically a similar thing to Arnautovic, except I think this time basically he just leads, has his hands up, and leaves that hands out. But from the referee's perspective, he has a clear sight of it. It's the exact same thing of hand to throat to face. It's going to be a red card. And so thumbs up and thumbs down to Hal Robson-Kanu, a man who we both love from Euro 2016 in Wales. 2016.
Yeah, I'm going to say thumbs up to all the Chelsea youngsters who moved on after realising there was not a place for them in the Chelsea first team and made things happen this weekend.
Sure.
So, first of all, there was Dom Solanke, who joined Liverpool this summer. He came off the bench when it was Liverpool 0, Crystal Palace 0, and I think like the 70-something minute, 71st minute. By the 72nd minute, Liverpool had a goal, and Dom Solanke was involved. He sort of, there was a move that Sadio Mane started, and it had gone, the pass had come loose a little bit, and I can't remember who the Crystal Palace player was. In fact, I remember hearing his name, but it was a complicated name, so I can't repeat it. But Solanke steps in, tackles him, the loose ball bounces to Sadio Mane, who continued his run after his initial ball. You know, he's always looking for a 1-2. Mane loves a 1-2. Gives Mane a chance to finish. Dom Solanke came off the bench, made a goal happen for Liverpool. 1-0 over Crystal Palace. Then Watford beat Bournemouth 2-0 with an assist from Nathaniel Chalobah. I think it's Nathaniel. He goes full name, right? Nathaniel Chalobah, again, making things happen for Watford instead of sitting on the Chelsea bench and maybe thinking about going out on loan to somewhere in the Netherlands.
Yeah, and since you mentioned Watford, I'm going to say Watford 2, Bournemouth 0. I have a couple points about that game, if you don't mind. Starting with Nathaniel Chalobah, I'm going to say thumbs up from me to Harry Arter and thumbs down from Ned Stark to Harry Arter. Because we know Ned Stark is all about honor.
Yeah.
You don't do the wrong thing. You always do the upstanding thing. He would not appreciate what Harry Arter did.
What did he do then? Tell our listeners what did he
do.
I'm giving this a thumbs down, by the way. Thumbs hard down.
Chalobah has done that like kind of smart attacker thing where everybody's crashed the box. He's held up at right about the 18. Ball's on the end line. It's cut back to him. He's got basically a one-time shot, but then he dummies it to no one because no teammates are around.
And Harry Arter connects it, right?
And you see Chalobah look confused for a second, then look very angry. And it's because, if you watch the replay in slow motion, Harry Arter, I think doesn't say leave. I think he says, it's mine, and calls Chalobah off, which should be, correct. It should be a foul, should be a yellow card.
It should be verbal obstruction, I believe, is what the call is.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do that. That's why you're not allowed to scream. When you go up for a ball, people will know this. If you play soccer, if you go up to head a ball, you can shout your name, like Daryl's ball. You can't say mine or my ball, because then you're confusing people around you who don't know if you're on their team or not. It's misleading. Yeah. It's essentially deception.
Yeah. It is.
Down with Harry Arter.
Well, I think you could say result don't lie, because Watford get that result. And I'm going to say thumbs down as well to my prediction skills, because I predicted Watford would be dead last by like the end of October. They look the exact opposite of what they thought. They look
drawing a win so far, right? They tied Liverpool last week.
Essentially, I wish I had flipped my Watford and Palace predictions, because Crystal Palace look woeful and all over the place and look like they know what they're doing. Watford, by comparison, I thought it would take them time to understand the system, to really understand what's going on. Instead, they look super confident, they look super comfortable, they look super motivated, and I can't get over how like quick their link-up play is. Like Nordi and Amrabat out on the right. Like I saw him play for Galatasaray. He was not that good of a player, and to see him like playing these inch-perfect passes that split two players and play another player in, and then he makes smart runs. It's just an exciting Watford team that I did not think we would see.
Okay, let's talk about exciting teams. Let's talk about Manchester United.
I'm
so
okay
full
with that.
Disclosure, for everybody who hasn't listened before, Taylor's a Manchester United fan, but you're very good at keeping
You broke my streak.
You're very good at keeping it unbiased, right? So, but Manchester United won 4-0 for the second week in a row. This week they beat Swansea City 4-0. I want to say thumbs up for what I'm going to call a very Jose Mourinho type win. Like these were all very Jose Mourinho Manchester United goals. In that, like Eric Bailly's was like determination and decisiveness decisiveness and just get out of the way and get there first kind of thing. The second goal was a long ball to Lukaku. That's a very Mourinho thing, long ball to your central striker. Third and fourth goals, both counter-attacks as they were absorbing pressure. Also very Jose Mourinho. Also, he went out with a 4-2-3-1. None of this 3-4-3 nonsense that everyone's messing around with. Jose sticks to the 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, he sure does. He sticks to height as well. After that Eric Bailly goal, I don't know if you saw the replay, but you can see like Bailly gets a hug from Lukaku, who I think gets hugged from Pogba, and it's this weird train of hugs, but then it's like Matic on the end of it. And then at one point I think Mkhitaryan comes in, and it's just like, oh, you poor adorable tiny person.
Mount Fellaini comes on the field afterwards as well, so we've got increased height all over the place.
And then if rumors are to believed and Zlatan resigns, suddenly it's kind of unfair, the height.
Okay, so do you have anything to say about Man United? I've got a couple of notes on some of these goals.
I've got a couple of things. I'll say as a Man United fan, for chemistry, just to see like
You mean like science?
No, I mean for team chemistry, because I think it's been very poor in the last few seasons. And so to see, like on Instagram, Lukaku sang a song to Eric Bailly after he scored his first goal. He sang another one to Pogba. There's like a video of Jesse Lingard doing all these choreographed handshakes with different players. It just seems like everybody is very much enjoying themselves, which makes... I think, and you're right, it is a very Mourinho team, but I think just there's like that extra level of sort of team camaraderie. Maybe because things have been so bad that then it's like, oh, we're doing fine and we're winning. Everything's wonderful.
I thought you would have enjoyed after Pogba's goal, Lukaku running and jumping on Pogba's shoulders.
I enjoyed that. I enjoy celebrations. I enjoyed Pogba's goal. I thought that was a beautiful goal.
It really was. So this is the third goal in the game, right? It's a really nice chip over the Swansea keeper. I can't remember who's in goal for Swansea. Fabianski? I think it's Fabianski. Should give a shout out to Daniel Jones, pointed out on Twitter. If you rewatch this goal, Romelu Lukaku, even though he's not sort of massively involved, he drags the centre-back Fernandes away with a run to the far post. Opens up a big space that Pogba's able to run into, and then Fernandes can, Mkhitaryan can slip the ball into that space. And I believe, doesn't Pogba start this move by intercepting the ball?
Yes.
I think this whole move starts with a Paul Pogba defensive interception, which isn't necessarily what he's known for, but he certainly did it here.
He certainly did.
But we'll have to wait until Man United play sort of a strong team before we get all in on this train, because they're not going to keep winning 4-0 every week.
No, because the aforementioned BBC British version, they were pointing out that United are still trying to like force some passes through, not being very patient. They're really, really determined to play through the middle, even though they have space out wide. And so they were saying that against an opponent that can kind of figure out what they're doing faster and exploit those vulnerabilities, it could be a problem.
The one thing I say, though, is that Lukaku maybe gives you the option to do that. Because I think of like how much... I remember talking to Matt Tomaszewicz, Shin Guardian, about this, Lukaku at Everton. Like, he's got pace in behind, which you saw. You know, he got in behind the Swansea defence, which that scares defenders that way. He comes deep and meets the ball like that chest for the first goal, for his goal, sorry. And he's like a threat in the air. He pulls out to the wings. So his mobility, I think, allows you to maybe just bang balls into him centrally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like there's the preseason game where he ran and made himself offside. I was a little bit concerned about his movement, but he's looked much better since the season has started. One player who I would say like thumbs down to, and I don't mean for this to sound as harsh as it's going to.
Are you going to complain about a 4-0 win?
I'm going to complain about Marcus Rashford. And mostly it's because even though I have no real like vested interest in the England national team, I think they're probably my second team, but it's by some distance. But it is the English Premier League.
3,000 miles?
Yeah. Well, just like, there we go. But I always kind of want like English players to do well, and I always like it when there are a couple different English players. Man United have always had a history of having more than a couple English players. In this game, I think it was just Phil Jones and Marcus Rashford, and I think there's a chance that we don't see Marcus Rashford start the next game. Because Anthony Martial in the past 2 games has come in, scored a goal in each game, looked very lively, looked very energetic.
Did he come off the bench today and make a difference?
He scored the 4th goal. He came in
Saturday, sorry.
Yeah, he came in and like basically was involved in that counterattack, dribbled inside, cut inside, beat a player, and then like placed the ball into the far corner, like absolutely spotted it. Whereas Marcus Rashford, earlier in the game, I believe when it was still 0-0, was played in 1v1 with the goalkeeper and just like chipped it right into the goalkeeper's hands. And it just feels a little bit like maybe suddenly Jose might think he's more likely to convert on like a 2% basis or 2% more basis, so he will be the one that starts.
So here's a segue. Does it remind you in some ways of Daniel Welbeck?
A little bit.
Yeah, because I saw some Arsenal fans being a little bit upset that Danny Welbeck missed a couple of golden chances as Arsenal lost 1-0 at Stoke. And I've also got a thumbs down for the crushing inevitability of Arsenal losing 1-0 on a wet night in Stoke. Because it was raining and it was a 5:30 p.m. British time kickoff.
I will say, though, not being an Arsenal fan, but I'll say thumbs down to the official in this one because Hector Bellerin gets taken down in the first half, no call there. He's clearly clipped. And then in the second, the one you mentioned, Danny Welbeck, goes for that little toe poke at the end. It's because his foot gets clipped in the box too.
Isn't Kurt Zouma giving him a bit of a pull as
it's
well?
Kurt Zouma both times, I believe.
I'm just saying, if Kurt Zouma got away with it, that's good defending.
Well, hold on now. Harry Arter got away with it. Why is that illegal? Why is that?
Because I predicted that Kurt Zouma would make the French World Cup national team in our prediction show.
Yeah.
I didn't predict anything about Harry Arter.
Yeah. Well, so I'll say this much, that yes, Welbeck could have done better, should have done better on different occasions, but definitely, at first I was like, oh my goodness, how do you not finish that? And then go watch that clip and you see him get clipped as he's winding back to shoot. It's probably how he doesn't end up scoring.
Well, then, can we give thumbs up to what Stoke did? Specifically because this goal, it's the Jesse Rodriguez goal, right? The guy's on loan, I believe, from Real Madrid. Jesse Rodriguez, from PSG. Oh, sorry, Real Madrid, sold to PSG, loaned to Stoke. So he's kind of been knocked down a couple levels, but he's certainly found his level and is shining at Stoke right now. This goal starts with Jeff Cameron.
Yes, it does.
Yeah?
Just 2 minutes. I guess, and I have this, thumbs down to Granit Xhaka, but thumbs up to Daryl Grove for his predictions, because it's Granit Xhaka who turns that ball over pretty needlessly.
It's a loose pass, right? I try to think, how does this happen? Is he looking for someone and can't find them?
Yeah, he just overhits a run. That's all. I think I forget who he's looking for, but basically he overplays it by 10 or 15 yards. Then it's basically right into the feet of Jeff Cameron, who launches the counter.
Well, Cameron I remember Cameron sort of stepping into it and taking it, and I thought, oh, yeah, good for you, Jeff Cameron. Yeah. But then what he does is, I think Hesse comes and shows at kind of a weird angle, and Cameron gives him a little clever pass that evades somebody to get it sort of into Hesse's path so that he can receive the ball and start moving. Yep. Then Hesse's off down the field. Quick 1-2 with Berahino. Berahino finally getting something done.
He's alive.
He's alive and he's getting assists. Plays it back to Hesse, who continues this darting run from right to left, and then he beats the keeper. Peter Cech, I assume, yeah. So, yeah, great goal for Jesse Rodriguez.
Yep. I mean, but he made multiple really smart runs. He was a consistent problem for that Arsenal back line. He drew fouls. I mean, yeah, it was exciting to see him play. It's also interesting to note, I think I saw this on Reddit or Twitter earlier in the week, that I think Stoke now have more Champions League winners than any club in the Premier League, which is kind of ridiculous.
Because they keep signing them.
Yep.
You know who wasn't great for Stoke?
Who's that?
Choupo-Moting. Do you remember me talking about in the previews? That when we did our predictions, Stoke had just signed him, and their Twitter had gone wild with excitement about Choupo-Moting. Man, I was not thrilled with him. So he wore number 10, I think, and tried all kinds of weird tricks and skills that were mostly pointless. There was one where he tried all kinds of things. Nacho Monreal's up against him, and then Monreal kind of just normally tackles him. Choupo-Moting goes down as if it's some terrible foul. And then this camera happens to, I think the Steadicam guy is right there, so he zooms in on Monreal's face. And Monreal just has this look of
get out of here.
Come on, have you seen it? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It was a very disappointing moment for Choupo-Moting.
I believe he also missed a wide open header.
He also did do that.
So that was not great either. Yeah, a rough game for him.
I do want, if Arsenal fans are looking for some optimism, I've got 2 thumbs up for them. One is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's service into the box. He put in a couple of great Crosses and 2 wonderful, lifted over the top balls. I think one of them is for one of those Danny Welbeck chances. A really clever service from Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. And then the other thing is maybe Alexandre Lacazette. That finish. It was ruled offside, and if you watch the replays, there's a sliver of his calf is offside. So it's a correct offside decision, but it's close. But the finish after the Giroud pass is incredible. Yep. I still think Lacazette's going to score an absolute boatload of goals.
I was so frustrated by the quote-unquote drama about that decision that it doesn't matter if the referee maybe was guessing and got lucky. He got it right. And so there was this whole faux narrative around there's no way he could have seen that. He should have let it go. Yes, he was offside. But even so, it's no. Hold on now. You can't have all of those things. And I'll also say, I know this will probably be a step too far for Arsenal fans, so I apologize in advance.
Uh-oh.
But do you ever notice how when there's drama that involves an Arsenal player doing something bad, Wenger hasn't had time to see it? But whenever it's something that goes against Arsenal, somehow Wenger has always seen it. It's weird.
That's to be fair to Arsene Wenger. That's Arsene Wenger making sure that he doesn't criticise his own players in the media conference afterwards. Right?
Absolutely.
That's all that's about. Right?
I was just watching it and heard the so what did you think about that? And I was like, gee, I wonder if he's going to say I haven't seen it, or I wonder if he's going to say he was clearly onside and it's a travesty.
But I mean, just generally long term trend, thumbs up, because I think Lacazette is going to score a load of goals based on that finish.
I think Terry Henry agrees with you.
He just
That's
needs to
a good
shrink his
position.
calves a little bit. To not
I think it was his heel. I think it was just outside of his heel.
What's this Thierry Henry stuff? I've been hearing stuff about there's some sort of an analysis video.
Yep.
I'm assuming it's Sky Sports if it's Thierry Henry, like him watching some footage of Lacazette and explaining what he likes about him. I haven't seen it, so maybe could you explain it to me? Then our listeners can listen in and everybody gets to benefit.
Sure. It was for Monday Night Football, which is the one with Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher.
Where they watch NFL games, it's weird.
Yeah, it's odd. But he was basically just breaking down, I think it was for against Leicester last week, that it was more so what Lacazette was doing like off the ball, the runs he makes, and how he's kind of constantly, it's a thing we've talked about on a consistent basis, the ability of a really talented forward to kind of shift between the two center backs, so no one is ever entirely certain.
Kind of like Morata did, we were talking about with the Chelsea game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then it was also moments when Lacazette knew, okay, now is not the time for me to run to this. Like, somebody else is there. And so I think from that goal, he basically, you can see him, with the goal he scores, the header against Leicester, that he starts to run to the near post and then kind of evaluates the situation in about a half a second and checks back. And so it's just kind of his ability to read the situation on the fly.
So he's got like a super
impressive.
fast computer processor for processing this information.
So says Thierry Henry.
He's the deep blue of strikers.
Sure. Is
that what it's called?
The computer?
The supercomputer, yeah.
Yes, which beat Kasparov? I can't remember if he beat the computer. I think he might have beaten.
But either way, Lacazette would beat all those computers at knowing when to run.
Sure. And then Computer Blue is the play that Prince runs against Charlie Murphy. So there you go. My other thumbs up, I would say, to Riyad Mahrez and Shinji Okazaki, for reminding us all that Leicester are difficult to play.
And doesn't Mahrez, I think he gets the assist
for the first.
on this? Yeah, it's a wonderful. Maybe he doesn't because there's a
dribble.
Yeah, there's a dribble and like a couple of feints that really are hard to track. I think he shoots and it's saved, and Okazaki gets the rebound. Right?
Yeah, but and then for the second, Okazaki gets the brace, but it's just him fighting. It's just him trying to make something happen, and he does both times. And it's just that Leicester are back, and it's been so long since Leicester were very convincing. I would say it's basically since they won the title. You could argue the Champions League run, but even that was so sporadic that I wouldn't count it. But it was just like a reminder of oh yeah, they're very good. Which points me to, I have to say thumbs down to Claudio Ranieri. Because I really think something went wrong. He's still, I know losing N'Golo Kante was a problem. We've talked about that at length. But it's still just like Craig Shakespeare comes in and it seems like he's kind of figured some stuff out. And it just makes me wonder what could have gone wrong that bad that everybody was just sort of this isn't working at all. And I also want to bring up...
One day we'll hear the story.
We probably will, but I just remember all these different podcasts and articles talking about, it's a travesty. How can you sack the man who won you the Premier League title? It's ridiculous. Some people even advocating, no, you go down, you get relegated because he put you there. Or you appoint Craig Shakespeare and he rights the ship.
And you stay up.
Continues on a Champions League run a little bit. You stay up, and now you look fine. I just think it's kind of a reminder of, yes... We love to love the people that we love, but sometimes the people that we love aren't good for us and are going to get us relegated. That's all I'm saying.
Do you have anything else on the Premier League before we move on? I have one more England-based massive thumbs up.
I do not.
Okay. My thumbs up goes to the Haycock Hotel in Wansford, Cambridgeshire.
Obviously.
Do you know about this?
Obviously.
So
no, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so it's not Premier League because it's a Norwich City fan. His name is Darren Wood. He sort of booked the Haycock Hotel online. And when you book online, there's a special requirements box you can fill in. Right?
Yes.
So for things you want in your
room. Yeah.
Say if it's me, I'm diabetic, I want somewhere to put my insulin, I'd say, could I have a fridge in my room? Could I have a mini fridge to keep my insulin cold? And they'll do that for me. It's great. Right? So Darren Wood says, I would like, or please could I have, a framed photograph of Norwich City's Wes Hoolahan on my bedside table. And he obviously did that kind of as a joke, right? But he checks in, goes to his room.
There it is.
And there, on the bedside table, there's a framed photo of Wes Hoolahan after he'd scored for Ireland at Euro 2016 on his bedside table. I hope he gives them 5 stars on Yelp.
And I don't know who Norwich's...
TripAdvisor.
Yeah, sure. I don't know who Norwich's rival is, but I do like to think...
Ipswich.
Okay, but I do like... Yes, as everyone knows. Get out of here.
Everyone knows.
But I do like to think that it was the person who did this for him was an Ipswich fan. No, I can't abide Norwich. I'll just do the Ireland jersey. That will be better.
But I do love the idea of someone at the hotel being like, that's obviously a joke, but I'm not that busy today, so I'm going to go to the print shop.
It makes sense. It makes sense that Ipswich and Norwich would hate each other because, as we all know, there's that ageless feud between canaries and tractors.
It's actually just geographical. They're both sort of East Anglia.
I figured.
It's Norfolk and Suffolk.
I figured that it was not mascot themed.
After some of the texts we exchanged this weekend about Crystal Palace and all that, I'm ready to defend any sort of English nicknames and history and rivalries that you want to know.
That was mostly my wife.
Okay.
And you did not dissuade her from the notion that it's a pool full of livers that gave Liverpool its name.
It's the liverbirds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I forgot it led to the entire conversation about how Daryl legitimately believes that England is magic.
Yeah,
Yep.
England is magic.
Sure.
All right, shall we move on?
Quickly.
To a place where some magic happens.
Yep.
The Bundesliga.
Sure.
American magic happened in the Bundesliga this weekend. I'll let you take it if you want, because I just did the Norwich City thing.
Sure, I'll say Dortmund defeating Wolfsburg 3-0. Thumbs down to Ousmane Dembele for putting himself in a terrible position. Because I really do think that he either thought, okay, they'll Dortmund will definitely sell me to Barcelona, so it'll be fine. That didn't work. Then he thought, well, if I don't show up, then they'll recognize how important I am and they'll give me more money, or maybe they'll just say yeah, okay, you can go. We just want the money to buy somebody else. But now Christian Pulisic has come in and filled those shoes and really done well and looked lively and scored a goal and got an assist.
Yep.
And I wonder if Ousmane Dembele is just that's not good.
Should we go with the thumbs up part of that then?
Sure.
Which is Christian Pulisic started in a 4-3-3. That's going to be the formation it looks like with Peter Bosz. He's on the right side of the front three. Christian Pulisic scores Borussia Dortmund's first goal of the season, and it is a really good goal. The more you watch it, the better it is.
Yep.
Agree?
Yep. I agree because he gets that ball. You want to run us through the build-up?
I thought you were going to do it. I'll do it if you like.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So it's actually a ball. It's a clearance to Aubameyang. Then he kind of gets tackled. That bounces to midfield to Mario Götze. Then Götze just quick. You can see Pulisic demanding the ball from Mario Götze, which for some reason made me very, very happy. Sidebar, thumbs up to Mario Götze, playing soccer again. Right? So Pulisic receives the ball and immediately just drives at the Wolfsburg defenders. They kind of panic. He sees a little gap between the two defenders and sort of drives it straight between them and into the far side netting. Wonderful goal from Christian Pulisic.
And I think the key there would be that it's not from an obvious angle. It's not one-on-one. It's not
blocked. He looks like he's blocked.
And he has players. He has one player dropping off to support. He has one overlapping. He's got lots of players calling for the ball. And he just says no, I'm taking this. And that's that level of confidence you want to see. And I also love, again, I love a celebration. I love that there's no hesitation. There's not that sort of I was screaming for it. Okay, but he scored, so it's all right. It's just instantly everybody's like, yep, he's awesome. Let's all go hug and celebrate together.
He's becoming the man.
Yep.
I mean, he's. I checked his birthday the other week. He's 18. I think he's going to be 19 in September. So he's he's still a kid, but he's no longer a little kid. You know what I mean? He's kind of the man of the team.
Yeah, and I think, to that point, I want to say the goal was definitely impressive. I think I love the assist more because it's basically from outside. Go ahead.
I've got one more thing on the goal. As we tweeted out, part of the great thing about the goal is if you freeze frame it, he strikes the ball, Christian Pulisic is in the almost exact same shape as the Bundesliga logo. So not only is that a beautiful Bundesliga coincidence, it may be sort of symbolic in an eclipse kind of way. It could be something big could be happening here.
What are you proposing exactly? I'm not going to let you slide with these oblique references. Are you implying that Christian Pulisic is a time traveler? Is that what you're getting at?
It could be something like that. He went back in time and he planted the Bundesliga logo in the 1960s.
All right, we'll see how that prediction goes for you. But I want to say to the assist that it's basically he gets that ball out wide, and it's the thing that we saw him do a lot of times last season is sort of put his head down, get to the end line, drive that ball across, and hope somebody's there.
Yeah.
And it is a sign of a player sort of I'm going to do the smart thing, but then I'm going to do the hopeful thing, and not really looking to pick somebody out. And a lot of times that didn't work, both at club and national team level. So to see him do that exact sequence again, except this time he picks his head up, spots Aubameyang, and plays an inch-perfect ball.
Yeah.
And it's the type of ball that, yes, Aubameyang scores, but as soon as he's up, he's running to celebrate with Christian Pulisic pointing at him the whole way. And so it's just it's that great goal where it kind of shows I'm the man, but it's also when he plays that ball in inch perfect that just screams, I'm also the playmaker, and that makes me very happy.
I've got two bonus bits of analysis here. I think part of it, it's just them forming that partnership, Aubameyang getting used to playing with Pulisic more, Pulisic improving as a player. The other part of it is, if you think about how many defenders are around in the box when he does that, it's fewer defenders than when you sort of cast your mind back to the Thomas Tuchel years, when Dortmund would have loads of possession and everybody crowds up and the other team would be all crowded in their own box. The reason when Pulisic was playing those square balls across the box and it was just hitting defenders' shins, I think it's to do with the way that Dortmund play. It seems like under Peter Bosz, there's going to be sort of faster, more direct counterattacks. Right, we talked about the goal, the first goal. It starts with a long ball to Aubameyang. That might not have happened under Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah, probably not.
So if you've got Dortmund who are more of a counter-attacking team, Christian Pulisic at pace running at people, it's going to happen. He's going to have more space to run into, so you may see more of this. These are exciting times to be alive.
They are.
At least in terms of Americans in the Bundesliga.
Is that how you've got for Dortmund-Wolfsburg?
Two other things. Götze back is great. Zagadou at left back for Dortmund was impressive. But on the Wolfsburg side, I don't know where my thumb should be going for the fact that John Brooks did not play. So this should have been John Brooks, American centre-back, should have been his debut for Wolfsburg. He's injured. He's out for, 3 months? He's going to miss the World Cup qualifiers. I would have liked to see him go up against Christian Pulisic, but I'm also kind of glad that he wasn't embarrassed by Christian Pulisic in this game.
Yeah.
So maybe it's good that he wasn't involved in losing 3-0.
I'm still going to go thumbs down because we'd rather see him playing, and maybe if he does play, it's only 1-0 as opposed to 3-0, but at the very least, it means he's playing in the Bundesliga and not injured and out for World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah, your way makes a lot more sense, yeah.
I think so.
But we can also say Dortmund, top of the Bundesliga. That 3-0 win was the biggest win in the Bundesliga this weekend. Bayern only won 3-1 against Bayer Leverkusen. So Dortmund are currently sitting on top.
Yep. I would say surprise winners were Schalke, who beat RB Leipzig 2-0. RB Leipzig, second place last season, expected to compete for the title, and did look very good for stretches of this game. I think we were both pretty impressed by some of their players, which makes it all the more impressive that Schalke, number one, won. Number two, gave 10 minutes to Weston McKennie, another American.
Yep, he came on in the 79th. I actually counted it because I really wanted to know how many minutes. It ended up being about 16 minutes because of added time. I'm just trying to make it sound better than it was. To start with, I want to say thumbs up to Fox Sports. The opposite of NBC, Fox Sports were very good about doing a pre-game thing about Weston McKennie. So remember we talked about this in the past about how we wanted them to focus more their Bundesliga coverage on Americans. I'll be honest, I was sort of, I was in my living room watching TV. This Schalke game was coming. It was like 20 minutes from kickoff. And I was thinking, do I want to watch this? Do I want to not watch this? Eric Ronaldo did a whole segment about Weston McKennie. And I was like, yep, watching this game. Yeah. I'm all the way in.
You could tell the commentators had done the exact same thing because when he finally came in, they just spewed all of their Weston McKennie, Haji Wright, Americans at Schalke facts in like the first 30 seconds. And then had not much else to say about him.
So it's 2-0 win over Rasenballsport Leipzig for Schalke. Weston McKennie comes on in the 79th minute, you said?
You said.
Plays centre forward.
You literally just said that.
Okay, I said.
Yeah.
Plays centre forward in a 3-4-3.
He does.
This is the part that confuses me because Weston McKennie is basically a number 6, like a holding midfielder who will spray the ball around from deep. He plays him centre forward for the final 15 minutes or so.
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
don't know what to make of it.
I mean, I think what to make of it is that number one, they're intent on getting him into the game, so Tedesco wants to have him involved. Number two, I think number two, it's that he wants maybe a more defense-minded player who can then run at people and be fast and be sort of a pest, and I think that's what maybe he was putting McKennie in there to do.
I saw him more as a defensive pest. Like he was closing down a lot from the front. Yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, you meant run at people when they have the ball, not when he has the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm saying like if you've got somebody fast with a defensive mindset, you're trying to see out a game, you maybe put them up top and let them run at people, and he can run them down, chase them down, doesn't give them much time on the ball, but also knows how to keep defensive shape.
Okay, yeah, so I agree with all that, but I also, my hesitation is that he didn't quite trust him enough to play him in central midfield. Like, he didn't come on to replace Leon Goretzka or Nabil Bentaleb, who are the Schalke 2 starting midfielders, and I see that as a slight sort of knock on Weston McKennie.
But did anybody?
No, nobody did.
Well, I mean, I think then that's why I wouldn't.
So I would say more positive.
Yeah, because I mean the reality is nobody replaced them. So in essence, it was basically Tedesco saying, no, I can't risk taking these two guys out, but I want to put another defense-minded player in there. Yeah. I'm going to put in this young player to see out the game. Okay,
so then you also think maybe it's like get him on the field no matter what, because we've got long-term plans for McKennie, so let's get him this like 10, 15 minutes of experience.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. And so what I would say is that it wasn't another number 6 that they put in for Goretzka instead of McKennie, and then it was like, oh yeah, we'll throw him in there at the end because 2-0 seems pretty safe.
I see. Okay, how about his performance? Because we've both watched this spell that he had. I'm going to say there's one good thing in there and there's one bad thing in there.
Sure, I'm going to say the good thing that you're alluding to is the run that he makes.
Yeah, he has like a nice little weavy dribble between like 3 or 4 players that involves some strength, right? He holds someone off in a N'Golo Kante throwing off Harry Kane almost kind of way. And then he plays an almost perfect diagonal ball that just catches the top of a defender's head.
And I think maybe we're definitely like grasping at straws here.
Well, we're overanalyzing the little data we have about Weston McKennie in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, well, and I think, like, honestly, I think you are more inclined to do this than I am, where you sort of like, you're excited about a player, or maybe you just like, I've got 16 minutes, I'm going to really extrapolate a lot from that one. Yeah. But like, we've had this conversation before where it worked out for you because like you were talking about Bobby Wood, and it was like in a 20-minute appearance, he made 3 smart runs, and I was like, that's not enough to really praise him. And so that's the only thing where I say like, yeah, he beat this guy, and then he played an almost good ball. It's like where you're saying he didn't play a good ball. That's what you're doing there.
No, almost perfect.
Yeah, but I will say, with that all said, that like I was impressed by. I think the very first thing he does is flick on a header very, very well right to the path of his teammate.
Yeah. Like, and he's not a huge guy either.
No,
so
it's
not like he's got any right to be winning headers all over the place.
And I would also bet that just if you're putting in a number 6 who's a young teenager well, I guess he's young. He's a teenager. If you're putting him as a number 6 up top, you're probably giving him sort of vague instructions about, like, put him under pressure, but make sure you keep shape and drop back a little bit and don't let that. And so I think you did see at times him, like, I'm running to that guy, and now I'm running to that guy. Oh, no, I've gotten beat, but now I'm going to run to that guy. But I imagine that that's what he was told to do. And so if anything, I would say that's also positive.
Just go close down.
That like, close down, hold shape, do this. And that it speaks volumes that his manager trusted him to help see out a result.
The one obvious negative for me is when he kicked the ball away after fouling Keita. So he got beat by Keita, then fouled him, and then when Keita came, I think it was Keita, came back to get the ball, McKennie kind of like nutmegged him and kicked the ball away, got a yellow for dissent. Yeah. Not great.
Well, I guess that'd be time wasting.
Oh, okay, so maybe it's smart. Maybe
I mean that's what it was. He was kicking the ball away so that they couldn't take the free kick quickly. Okay. He just did it very obviously in front of the referee.
All right.
Which is never going to be good.
We'll celebrate it then.
Yeah. Okay. So you're very flexible on your rules, except when it comes to shouting, it's mine. That seems to be the rule.
I mean, that's a law of soccer.
What else? Have you got anything else from Germany?
I do. Okay. A double thumbs up and thumbs down goes to Nikolai Müller, Hamburg striker. Yes. It's more of a sad thumbs down. It's not really his fault. He scores for Hamburg against, I believe, Augsburg. They win 1-0, Hamburg do. In his celebration in the 7th minute, he does sort of a mid-air twirl, lands funny, ruins his knee, he's out for 7 months.
Yep.
That's a rough start to the season.
It is.
From joy to despair in 7 minutes.
Yes.
Sorry, in a few seconds.
Commiserations to him, although at least he leaves out like a favourable memory so that it won't just be like, oh, he skied an attempt and blew out his ACL.
Yeah.
So at least there's that. But yeah, that's not ideal. My guess would be that based on how much pain he seemed to immediately be in, I do wonder if maybe he had some warning signs either in that game or in the weeks leading up to it that maybe like, oh, that feels uncomfortable. Oh, there's a little bit of sharp pain.
Like he was carrying something.
Basically, I say that only because when I did my ACL, I definitely had those moments of like, that doesn't feel right, but if I run for another 5 minutes, the pain goes away. So why not?
You just scored in the Bundesliga when you did yours?
I had not, but I was just walking and turned, and I feel like that is roughly the equivalent of like spinning, but not really. It wasn't even like a full, like, I think you described it as like a Chun-Li Street Fighter flip, and it was just more like he
spinning
spins.
Bird kick is what I said.
He doesn't really, he like spins a little bit, and then he like jumps and spins, sort of. It's very awkward.
Sometimes I embellish to make things sound more exciting.
I see.
That's how we get the 5-star reviews.
When you said that, I was like, oh, he does like a crazy flip through the air, but then he's off balance. And then it's just like, no, he just like jumps through the air like a drunk guy.
Anything else from Germany, from you? No, I've got a couple from around Europe.
Sure.
So in La Liga, I want to give the biggest of Daryl thumbs up to Javier Mascherano for a wonderful slide tackle on Betis striker Sergio in Barcelona's 2-0 win over Betis.
I mean, Sergio's got him beat for pace, got him beat for positioning. Just throws up, I think, to try to like evaluate the situation, figure out where he's going to put it.
He's about to shoot.
And in that little gap, Javier Mascherano gets the toe poke in.
He kind of like slides down the side of him and gets a toe poke on the ball. I don't think makes any contact with Sergio at all. So there's no danger of a free kick, of a penalty. Yeah. It's a surgical slide tackle. And there are going to be people out there saying, remember, I know a lot of people say, you shouldn't celebrate slide tackles, they're acts of desperation. Yes, but Mascherano did not cause this. It was Umtiti with a missed tackle on the sideline caused this. Mascherano had to do this to save the game. Here's the more important thing, Taylor. This comes just after Barcelona have taken a 1-0 lead. They're 1-0 up. Sergio is in on goal. They're about to equalise. After the slide tackle, the ball's played out. Barcelona go up the field. Sergio Roberto scores. This slide tackle 100% saved the game for Barcelona in I'm going to say, a very important game. Because it's the first game without Neymar. Right, they're also missing Suarez. The season could have gone off the rails a bit here. It's
Iniesta
also
as well,
Iniesta was missing. Yeah, it's also the first game after the Barcelona terrorism attacks. There's obviously a lot of emotion. They had, I don't know if you saw this. All the players had Barcelona as their name on the jerseys, like in celebration of the city. So very, very important slide tackle from Javier Mascherano. All my thumbs up, which I guess is 2 total.
And it's a strange situation because I don't know if I would agree with you in normal circumstances, because I also wonder if maybe them losing or drawing on opening day would have been the motivator to be like, all right, that's it. We're buying 6 players right now. And like,
that's a bad thing, right? I'd rather trust Deulofeu and Paco Alsassa, who are the guys who started around Messi.
I believe you are very much in the minority on that one. Because, I mean, it's Barcelona. And the reality is, if you look at that 11, that's probably the weakest 11 we've seen Barcelona field in a very long time. And they might be able to get the results against a lot of teams. I don't think that team will get a result against Real Madrid, which is the one that really matters in La Liga. And so I think that it maybe if that happens, it really does kind of serve as more of a wake-up call, except that Barcelona are already pretty awoken to the situation that they're in, where they are trying to sign people desperately, and I think they're really struggling.
Well, Dembele may be there soon, even if Coutinho isn't. I don't have anything for Real Madrid, but that's not like any bias. I don't really have bias either way. I just haven't seen the game. I know they won 3-0, I believe, but I don't know what happened.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Anything else from La Liga?
Nothing else from La Liga, but I've got some Ligue 1 I want to talk about.
Sure.
Yeah. You ready? Are you ready? First, I want to talk about a guy named Nabil Fekir. Do you know who this is? So Nabil Fekir is the 24-year-old captain of Lyon. He scored from the halfway line this weekend in Lyon's 3-3 draw with Bordeaux. This just sort of randomly caught my attention. I was like, oh, okay, I'll give that a watch. He intercepts the ball, dribbles, and strikes it exactly on the halfway line stripe over the Bordeaux keeper, but not one of those like strikes that floats up in the air and slowly floats down. It's more like a
rocket.
It's like a low line drive rocket right into the corner. And I ended up that honestly, we don't watch a lot of Ligue 1, right? I saw that goal and I was like,
I feel like you categorically refuse to.
Well, I may have changed my mind here. Seeing that, I was like, okay, this guy, he's played a couple times for France. He's only 24. He's like a guy who could play in the future. I'd really never heard of him because of my ignorance of Ligue 1. So I was like, all right, I'm going to watch the rest of this game. So I find the highlights. Ligue 1 put all the highlights on YouTube, and I find a 3-3 draw full of amazing goals. So yeah, I'm kind of thumbs up on Ligue 1 thanks to Nabil Fekir's goal from the halfway line.
I'm just laughing because you're acting as though it's like this league out there just exists. Who could have known? It's like, I think a lot of people.
Well, no, but honestly,
I know, I'm with you.
We did this last weekend. We didn't include Ligue 1 in the sort of roundup because we didn't think there was anything really worth talking about, right?
I think we were focused on the Premier League.
Yeah, that's
mostly
true.
That's fair.
All right, so yeah, Nabil Fekir, thumbs up. And then there was Neymar at PSG.
Yeah.
Have you got anything you want to say about this? Because I have a lot I want to say about this. I feel like I've already been talking
Go
about
ahead. No, keep going.
I feel like we're in the rant zone.
That's fine.
Okay, so PSG beat Toulouse 6-2 in Ligue 1.
It's almost like they were made
Yes.
to lose.
No,
You're welcome. You're welcome for that. No one's ever made that joke before, I think.
People have made that joke
I don't think
before.
so. I think I'm the only one.
I wrote it down and crossed it out, so I thought it had been done
I
too
just
many
copyrighted
times.
it, so in your face.
It features 2 goals from Neymar, 2 assists from Neymar, and 1 rainbow flick over a Toulouse player's head in the 89th minute from Neymar. This looked too easy for Neymar. I do not like it.
I mean, I think you're going to talk about all these great things he does, and you're going to say it's too easy? That's your criticism?
Have you've seen the 6th goal?
I have.
Right,
I'm just trying to antagonize him.
Okay. So he dribbles, he basically dribbles in circles around a couple of Toulouse defenders, then he does it again, then he spins back, then he scores. His teammates are kind of like standing around watching him. The Toulouse defenders look absolutely crushed and beaten. And it's just come after that rainbow where he embarrassed a guy and the guy had to foul him and get a yellow card. He was obviously clearly angry. Yeah. I don't like the idea of Neymar being so talented that he's mocking players in the league.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to go with obvious jokes here, it's the Ralph Wiggum stop, he's already dead joke at this point, because that really is what it was like. It just felt like Neymar just kind of doing whatever he felt like doing. And I think it's because, they're well ahead, but also he knows why he's there, and he knows how much they paid for him. And you listen to that crowd when he does that rainbow, the whole stadium lights up, and he knows what he's getting out of that one, and he knows the response that he will get.
Does this worry you in terms of there was that rumor that I didn't believe at the time, I now do believe, that the reason he wanted to leave Barcelona was to get out of Messi's shadow and be the best player in the world and win the Ballon d'Or. And I almost feel like the showing off towards the end of this is with one eye on that, with making highlight reels.
But why is that bad?
Because it just seems disrespectful and very very me as a way of playing, as opposed to being part of a team.
I mean, again, I think that maybe that's your perspective. Yeah. Because if you're the most expensive player in the world who's leaving one of the best club you could possibly be playing for at that moment to go to another club because you want to be the Ballon d'Or and be the main man, then that's what you're doing.
To go rainbow.
You're kind of, you're establishing why you went there. I mean, I think I'm not surprised. Basically, you seem surprised that this would happen.
Yeah, I'm team John, the number 8 that he tried to.
But I guess I don't understand. But why are you surprised by this? He's going to a league that isn't as strong as La Liga, where he is going to be able to do what he wants. That he's playing for a super team.
I thought there would be some humility and not sort of the extreme showing off of rainbowing over someone. You know what I mean? That's the sort of thing that you can end up super injured. If someone gets real angry, they'll just come and crush you for that.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's up to the coach to say do or don't do that, and I'm guessing he'll get good job. Don't worry about it. But I guess I'm not as quite as opposed to that one as you seem to be, just because I think it's kind of the logical extension of going to play against a team where you're up 3 goals and they seem like they've switched off a little bit, and you're Neymar and you're going to do fun stuff.
Okay, well, we'll see what our listeners think. I'm almost worried of what's going to happen on Twitter. Okay, what else we got, Taylor?
Well, I've got to disappoint some people, because if you're a Colorado fan, you were probably not pleased with what happened last night.
Earmuffs now.
Yeah, Jared Watts tried to pass the ball back to Tim Howard. If you haven't seen this, I feel like most people have seen this, but if you haven't, you should find it. He tries to pass the ball from about midfield, maybe 40 yards from goal, doesn't pick his head up to see where Tim Howard is. I still don't fully understand what Tim Howard was doing and why he was off to the left of the goal. Either way, Jared Watts scores an own goal from about 40 yards out.
And it finishes 1-0 to DC United. I think Rapids were at home, so they lost 1-0 at home because of a Jared Watts own goal.
And where you can definitely see this highlight is on the DC United Twitter account, and I believe the tweet itself is thanks with a question mark and a confused face.
We joke about thumbs up, thumbs down, right? Mm-hmm. Tim Howard always yells at his defenders for mistakes. He doesn't even do Jared Watts the respectful yell at him. Mm-hmm. He just shakes his head in disappointment. I feel like that's the worst when your parents are disappointed in you. They're not even angry enough to yell.
I think we've only seen Tim Howard do that 2 other times, and it was just so oh no. It was that bad. That's not great.
So I rewatched this with the MLS Live stuff to get a bit more context of it. Colorado are just passing the ball around. Jared Watts is a centre-back. He's out to the right a little bit, but that says the Rapids fullbacks are pushed up the field. There is the lightest of pressure from Patrick Mullins, right? He's not even that close to him. And yes, you said Watts doesn't look up, right?
Yep.
He turns and just clips a ball back to where he thinks Tim Howard's going to be. But that's the mistake, right? Is to fire it, 1, at your keeper without looking where he is, and 2, to fire it on goal.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know this as a centre-back. And actually, I learned this the hard way when I was about 13. I tried to pass it back to my keeper. He sort of miskicked it. It went under his foot, went in. I thought it was his fault. Coach was like, well, if you hadn't put it on target.
Yeah.
And that's the trick. When you pass back to your keeper, don't put it on target, because then even if he makes the worst mistake ever, the worst is a corner kick, right?
Yeah, I just can't get over it. I absolutely thought, maybe they've just taken a free kick, or Tim Howard's taken a goal kick or free kick from over on the left-hand side. It's gone low. It's gone to the center back. He plays it to Watts, and then Watts plays it all the way back to Tim Howard. That would explain why he was out of the goal. Because again, the way I saw this at first was, I think on an MLS Twitter handle just being what just happened? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
How did Tim Howard let this happen? And so I think that colored it, and I thought this is Tim Howard's fault. It's an own goal by Tim Howard. So then you go back and watch, and it's just sort of I guess he is out of position. But yeah, then you watch.
He's not really, right?
It just doesn't really make any sense what's happening in any part of this play.
He's not out of position when his team has the ball and is on the attack, right? He's sort of at the edge of his area, ready to stop any sort of counter-attack.
Yeah.
So the third thing Watts does wrong is hit it that hard. He really turns and fires it hard without looking.
Yeah, so thumbs down.
Yeah, so Colorado fans, if you've had your hands over your ears, you can take them off now. You could argue it's a fitting way for maybe the 2 worst teams in MLS for the game to be decided.
Yeah, that's fair.
But there was some better stuff in MLS this weekend. I've got a couple of thumbs up.
What you got?
I've got a thumbs up for Diego Chara's determination.
All right, talk us through it.
I mean, we could have done this without watching the game and just assumed that Diego Chara had done something amazing and determined to win the game. Portland Timbers beat New York Red Bull 2-0. In MLS. I think they're at Portland. Yeah, they're definitely at Portland because the soccer tour, Steve, he was there taking some photos. So here's what happens. There's a Portland throw to Ebobisse is playing. Kamar Lawrence comes across to try and challenge him. There's a bit of a tangle. Diego Chara's watching, and Diego Chara thinks, you know what? I can get this off these 2 guys. He just comes from behind, charges through, takes the ball off of both of them, runs to the end line, fires in a Pulisic-esque pass along the floor for Diego Valeri to finish. Diego Chara, everybody.
So, again, the evolving understanding of Daryl, I'm so confused now. So now it's you're pro stealing the ball off of your own teammates if it leads to a goal.
So Ebobisse was kind of in the midst of losing the ball to Kamar Lawrence. Chara sort of just bails him out with I'm going to step in and rescue the situation and lay a goal on for Diego Valeri.
Now I'm with you.
Portland scores a second goal later in the game. It's Diego Chara sort of starts a counter-attack with the New York keeper is out of goal. It finishes 2-0 to Portland Timbers.
Gotcha.
Final. MLS thumbs up goes to Toronto FC. They beat Chicago Fire away 3-1 to confirm that they are the best team in Major League Soccer right now. All 3 goals were really pretty, featured lots of like short, sharp, crisp passing. I was trying to think of more descriptive words.
Yeah.
3 really good goals. Final one from Sebastian Giovinco. They are now top of the Supporters' Shield by a distance.
There we are. So congratulations to Toronto, commiserations to Colorado.
And to Jared Watts once again. I guess maybe Jared Watts has the saving graces. Maybe Batshuayi scored a more high-profile own goal.
Yeah, his was worse, though. Watts was worse. Oh, yeah.
I guess Batshuayi was at least a good finish.
Yeah. And it was 3 goals for Chelsea. So that's what more can you ask for?
You got anything else for us?
I do not.
Okay, final one. Very quick shout out to Sam Kerr, who scored 4 goals for Sky Blue FC in NWSL. It's an NWSL record. They won the game 5-4 against Seattle Reign. Sam Kerr scored 4 of them, including the winner in the 93rd minute after she missed a penalty kick. She scored a header from the resulting corner. Absolute hero moment for Sam Kerr. The bad news is she's not American. She's going to be playing for Australia at World Cup 2019.
First of all, a decent result. Second of all, I never know how to feel when those penalties happen, because it's like, it's good that you still scored, but it certainly can't help your confidence to know that you just missed a penalty.
Yeah, well,
I guess if you scored 4 goals.
She'd already got a hat-trick at that point, and then she, like a minute later, she heads in the winner in a 5-4 game. I think her confidence is just fine today, Taylor.
All right.
We got some scouting reports.
We do indeed.
Okay.
We do indeed, Mr. Grove, and I believe you are up first to read these scouting reports.
Oh, have you organised it in
There's a reason.
Such a way? Okay, so first scouting report. This is where we profile young players. We get scouting reports from our listeners. It's from Dylan Veach. He is scouting Kai Havertz, the 18-year-old German midfielder for Bayer Leverkusen. Dylan says Havertz did not feature in Leverkusen's 3-1 loss to Bayern Munich in the season opener. He came off with a knee injury earlier in the week in a cup match, but no word yet on the severity of the issue. Ooh, bad news for Kai Havertz.
Yeah, I think though Dylan was basically making the point that, like, if it were really that bad, we probably would have maybe heard, oh, it's definitely a torn ACL. He's done for 7 months, so that we haven't heard anything. Maybe it's not a long injury. That's the hope. Up next, Vu Tran scouting Mahmoud Daoud, the 21-year-old German midfielder for Borussia Dortmund.
Yay.
Daoud came on as a second-half sub for Mario Götze in Dortmund's 3-0 victory over Wolfsburg. He looked confident on the ball and did well tracking back to defend when necessary.
Everything we would expect of Mahmoud Daoud. He's a Darryl favourite as well. Richie Garcia is scouting another Darryl favourite, Emerson Heinemann. I believe he was called the future of the American midfield.
By you.
21-year-old American midfielder for Bournemouth. Heinemann is still out with injury, Richie Garcia says, and having missed all of pre-season, will likely find it difficult to crack the Bournemouth starting 11. Richie predicts Emerson will go out on loan this season and then join MLS in 2018, becoming an instant starter and becoming more visible to Bruce Arena. I would take that series of events right now. I'm ready to watch Emerson Heinemann play.
I gotcha. Well, we'll see what he ends up taking. Maybe a loan to a championship side. Maybe that would be the ideal one.
Wolverhampton Wanderers?
Yeah. Again, I don't know if you guys need him. I think he might end up sitting on the bench. Next report, Julie Nishimura-Jensen scouting Alan Halilovic, the 21-year-old Croatian midfielder for Las Palmas.
I've been waiting for an update on Halilovic. Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, well, it's a mixed one. Halilovic started Las Palmas' first game of the season, yay, and then received a straight red card for a 50-50 challenge that went all wrong. Boo, says Julie.
Those Julie's yays and boos. Excellent. Alec Brew is scouting Davy Selke, the 22-year-old German forward for Hertha Berlin. It's a short but not sweet scouting report. Didn't play, still hurt.
Alec Brew requested that you read that.
Okay.
So there you go.
I thought we should have got Ernest Hemingway to read that.
Michael Curry is scouting Haji Wright, the 19-year-old American, on loan at Sandhausen from Schalke. He says after a full week of training, Haji got his first minutes into Sandhausen's match against Dynamo Dresden. He scored his first goal for the club in a 4-0 victory. Ooh. All that said, Michael was not too impressed with the goal. He felt Haji had too much time and that probably wouldn't have been able to take that time and find his spot against a Bundesliga opponent. So Michael is curious to hear what we think. I watched this goal.
Yeah.
I think Michael's being a little too harsh on Haji Wright. Yes.
Why so?
Because the ball comes in and he definitely does take the touch, pick a spot, pass the ball into the side netting. But number one, we've seen those situations where if you have a lot of time to think about it, you can make a mistake and you can try to chip it into the keeper's hands.
It's not always easier.
No. So I think he does He does well to recognize that he has the time and utilizes that time to score the goal. So I think that's good. And number two is that, he's not playing in the Bundesliga because he's not ready for the Bundesliga. I mean, he's playing at a lower level to get ready to play in the Bundesliga. So I think you got to get the confidence before you can play like you're a regular.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think it's not fair to criticise because we can't transplant him immediately from here to the starting Schalke team in the Bundesliga because that's not what's going to happen. That's not what is going to happen.
Yeah.
So, I think it's perfectly fair.
And also, I mean, there's also the situation where if he had taken that first time and smashed it into the goal, that's great. But he might have taken it first time and smashed it over. And then the narrative is, oh, that's inexperience. You got to know you take a touch there and then you pick your spot.
Okay, maybe there'll be plenty more Haji Wright goals to analyse for Sandhausen.
Maybe Haji Wright has just gotten a brief tutorial from Louis van Gaal. Wasn't his rule that you had to take 2 touches in the box? That Wayne Rooney couldn't shoot before taking 2 touches?
He had a lot of weird rules, didn't he, Louis van Gaal?
Yeah, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe Haji Wright's just trying to abide.
He discouraged crossing and all that sort of stuff?
Confusing.
Yeah, very confusing. Almost as if it was never going to work out at Man United.
I do not miss those days.
I have noticed we talked about Man United a lot more lately because they've been a lot more interesting and exciting under Jose Mourinho, which is not something I would have guessed. Because when I thought Louis van Gaal, I immediately thought
give it time.
1995.
That's what I'll say to that.
You think it'll all grind
2 games in, yeah.
It'll be when he plays bigger teams, he'll do something super defensive, dedicate his best players to man marking other players.
Or probably starting a midfield of Fellaini, Herrera, and Matic. And be so we're just going defensive.
Carrick. 4 central midfielders.
And just another centre back in there too, why not?
Okay,
and
so
2 goalkeepers, controversially.
If you would like to support the Total Soccer Show, we have some advertisers. We didn't have an ad on today's show. One of the ways we support the show is listeners subscribe at totalsoccershow.com/join with a monthly subscription that keeps the Total Soccer Show going. When you do that, we add you to the TSS Scouting Network. We give you an exciting young player to keep an eye on. Another way to support the show, Taylor, is maybe to just tell some friends about it.
I would agree with that. We haven't, last year we weren't doing the kind of overall review. This year we definitely are. We're enjoying it. We hope you are too. And it's a good way, we think, to just kind of get caught up on what happened on the weekend, to hear some different takes.
We covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah, definitely. We covered several continents and several leagues.
So one thing we'd ask them, we know that it's a big commitment to listen to 5 podcasts a week, which is what we put out. But if you've got a friend who says, I just want a roundup of the weekend soccer action, do you happen to know any shows that do that? We are that show now. So please let people know if they're looking for a weekend review show to listen to the Monday Total Soccer Show. We record it Sunday night, so we guarantee-ish that it's always out when you get up on Monday morning or if you stay up late Sunday night.
There you go.
All right, all that remains to say is, Taylor Rockwell, thumbs up to you, and thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Right back at you, buddy.
Listeners, thank you for listening. We'll be back with another show on Tuesday.